Should there be freedom of speech on Facebook? I think we can be reasonable about this. Seth Fuller here, your favorite lawyer, with a very quick guide to 47 U.S. Code Section 230. This is the law that the president is trying to get repealed because of Facebook and Twitter censorship. And I just wanted to maybe give you a real quick explanation, something that you can repeat and not look like an idiot. Basically, before the internet came along, there were publishers like the Dallas Morning News or Time Magazine or the news channels. And basically, publishing was when I took my own words or took words from somebody else and put them forth in a collection and said, here's what I'm putting forward. This is my standard. I'm the Dallas Morning News. I want you to buy this newspaper. So I have a standard of news and everything I put forward is the truth. And that was publishing. Now, of course, everyone thinks that if I publish something that is crazy, let's say I publish child pornography. Let's say I publish an untruth about someone, say someone is a child molester. Let's say I publish someone's public information and tell people to go beat them up, that I should be held liable for that. That is obvious. However, then the internet comes along and basically people are, it's an avenue for self-publishers or for these publishers. So I can still, as Dallas Morning News, put this stuff forward and I'll still be held liable. But the internet providers shouldn't be held liable. They are not a publisher and nobody thinks that they are a publisher. Nobody thinks that when I went on AOL, when this law was first put into effect, that when I went on AOL and published my nude pictures, that AOL was putting forward that these are cis nude pictures. No, so there's no doubt in anybody's mind what was going on when this 230 was drafted. And basically everyone was scared that, and in fact it did happen, Prodigy is the early case, but it did happen that someone tried to sue an internet provider for something that was posted on there. And basically to assist with that and to make the law congeal with what everybody thinks should happen and the general rules of liability, they passed Section 230 that said, well, look, we want people to provide forums for people to publish things. We want the Dallas Morning News to have a forum to post all their articles and put a website, and we don't want the person who to be liable for the stuff Dallas Morning News publishes. Dallas Morning News should be liable. And so skip to now you have Facebook, which is essentially the same thing. When I published a post, if I defame someone, I can be held liable. If I publish something like child pornography, if I tell people to kill somebody, I am held liable for all that. But certainly Facebook shouldn't be held liable for that because they are not the ones publishing. They are just providing a conduit. Well, the problem is Facebook wants to keep some of this stuff off, like child pornography or just pornography or my nude pictures or whatever. So they make rules. And what 230 did was say, hey, we want them to make these rules. We want them to be able to keep off of their forums things that they don't want to see published. They're private corporations. They're offering this forum. They should be able to impose rules without being liability. It's kind of crazy for anybody to think that because I said you can't publish something gross, you can't publish something illegal or anything, you can't publish religious stuff, you can't publish certain viewpoints, that I should then be held liable for what the people do publish. That's kind of silly, and nobody really thinks that because Facebook says no nudity, that then if I publish hateful things saying go kill someone, encouraging people to go kill someone, that Facebook should be held liable because they were saying no nudity. Nobody thinks that. The only reason this is ever brought up is because Facebook and Twitter started to get into the realm of other things like politics and truth and some stuff that they had never gotten into before. But again, 230 says that you can do that and still not be held liable. And nobody really thinks that they should be held liable. What happened is There were people who lost, who were banned. We've all had it. The Facebook jail, they were put in jail for whatever. And the people who were put in jail for what they felt was something that they had a right to, religion, speech, that they felt that because Facebook puts you in jail for those things, that Facebook should be held liable for everything they don't put you in jail for. That's essentially was the argument. What they really wanted Facebook and Twitter doing was stop banning them, stop censoring them. Well, where does that argument come from? Well, it's very simple. What they are at the core saying is that if Facebook imposes rules, Facebook should be made into a public forum. They started talking about platform, and here's the number one thing. The minute you start hearing anybody talk about platform when it comes to Section 230, that is a giant red flag. There is no mention of platform. There's publishers and non-publishers. We can call it a platform. It is a platform, but there's no distinction in the law of 230 for which we would even have to discuss platforms. Essentially, the reason they bring up platform is because what they want to do is they want to impose governmental restrictions. They want to make a private corporation into a public forum, into a public rule set. Now, that's communism. That's socialism. And the way they do that is say, well, platforms are fair, and publishers don't have to be fair. And so if you're a platform, you have to be fair. Nowhere in 230 does it say that. Nobody thinks that they should have to be, that the government should be able to impose fairness on a private corporation. Well, what they want to do is to force them into fairness. So what they're going to do is try to take away the protections against liability in order to blackmail them into allowing freedom of speech. In other words, allowing them to talk. They're going to blackmail them into fairness. That is what is happening. So I hope you understand what I'm saying, which is basically 230 is a good thing. There's no doubt about it. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. What it's not doing is imposing fairness on a private corporation. It is ridiculous, and it's against the American way. So I hope this helps you. I hope it gives you some idea. If you think I'm wrong, post why I'm wrong. Thank you for listening. I hope you haven't been banned. I certainly hope you can watch this video on Facebook. And I hope you continue to have the freedom of speech that the law guarantees you everywhere. So thank you guys. Have a good one.